stay there. I'm back here at my little sit spot in the woods. It's been real rainy, and I thought today would be a good opportunity for me to get out in the woods and practice fire making with a ferro rod in extremely wet conditions. It's been raining here practically every day for weeks on end. Everything is soaking wet, and we're gonna just practice a little bit and enjoy being out here. Do you hear that sound in the trees? Listen. Not the hammering off in the distance, but there's a sound up in the trees. Those are cicadas, and at times they're very noisy. Stay with me. What I've got here is some standing deadwood. Stuff that I just walked around and picked up or picked off of trees, and anything that's not laying on the ground. And one of the things that you want to focus on is the quality of the deadwood that you'll be using for your fire building material. It needs to have some life left in it. Not green, but when you break it, you wanna hear it snap. And if it doesn't snap, it's either too wet to use, or it could be that it's already to the point of decay that it's gone punky. There's not much to it, and if it's punky, it's going to be a lot wetter. Now this is snapping nicely, and I'm separating my stuff into 3 little piles as I go. I've got my very small stuff, and then I've got 2 other piles of graduated in size, stepping up to begin creating my fuel wood. And in wet conditions, see, this was laying on the ground. It snapped, but you can feel of it, and it's definitely damp. That doesn't mean it's not usable, but you don't want to try to start your fire with this. You want to focus on the material that's dry, and once you've got a bed of coals, something that will sustain your fire, then you can begin introducing damper material to it, because the heat from the coals will dry that damper material out and make it combustible. What I've got here is a good piece of fat wood. And this is just a piece of dead pine where a tree had fallen, and this split off of it. I like, in this next step of fire making, I like to use something as a platform. Mosquito buzzing in my ear. It's skeeter season down south, folks. Something as a platform, either something like this, or a piece of bark that's solid enough that I can put a little bit of pressure on it, and I'll show you why in just a minute. But process that fat wood down. I like to get some fine shaving. And one of the things about making fire in wet conditions with the fat wood, when it's dry you don't need nearly as much, but when your material is damp, especially if making a fire is a life-saving essential, I'll use more fat wood with damp material than I do with the dry material. That's pretty stuff. This is good fat wood. And by the way, all fat wood is not created equal. Some has more resin depending on the type of tree, the type of pine. Some has less resin. And it's the resin that makes fat wood fat. It doesn't have anything to do with how much Bluebell ice cream you eat or anything like that. So where health concerns are concerned, you can use all the fat wood you want, and it won't add an inch to your waist. That's a little free advice. So I'll get me a nice little pile of these fat wood shavings, and then I'll use the spine, the 90-degree spine of my knife, to get some really, really fine stuff. Now, I don't know about you, if you carry a Mora Companion. My Mora Companion did not come with a spine that was sharp enough to use as an effective tool. And I put it in my vise, and I used a file, and about the back 2 inches of the spine, I used that file to create a sharp 90-degree edge on the back of my Mora. And because it is a sharp 90-degree edge, it allows me to use it to scrape with. And I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but those are some really nice scrapings that's coming off of this. It's not powder. They're kind of curly. They've got a lot of air space. And then once I've got a bit of that, the fine stuff is going to be what I direct my spark onto. So I've got my coarse shavings, and then I've got my fine shavings. Now, let me turn the camera off, get it repositioned, and I'll show you the technique that I use to direct my spark where I want it to go. I believe this is in the frame, in the camera frame. Now what I'm using is a 3/8 Fire Steel brand ferro rod and my Mora knife. Any knife with a 90-degree spine, a sharp rock, or a piece of glass, a lot of things will strike a spark from your ferro rod. And rather than using a shotgun blast of sparks, what I do, now by the way, I'm so old school. In my old school schooling as a child growing up, I was always taught to give credit where credit is due. And what I'm going to show you is not something that I came up with on my own or figured out on my own. I saw it on a YouTube video quite a long time ago. Ferro, on his Ferro Movies channel, was explaining how to do this, and I said, that's really a good idea. So that's where this idea came from. But rather than doing a shotgun, I'd rather use a rifle. And get in there close, and I'll put the knife on the rod, and I'll increase the pressure, downward pressure, with my thumb. And that puts the sparks right where you want them to be. And then I'll gradually, without suffocating my initial fire, add my larger shavings, and then I'll start introducing my smalls, my little twiggy stuff. Twiggies. Be sure to leave plenty of air space so air can get to the fire. And then I'll start adding in gradually larger material. It was a good little fire. During the hot summer months, a person does not have to have a fire in order to keep from freezing to death. But you can cook over a fire. We have to eat. We can sterilize water over a fire. We have to hydrate. And one of the great things about a little smoky fire, the mosquitoes are not buzzing my ear. I want to thank you for watching the video. I also want to welcome our new subscribers to David Kralik Outdoors. Thank you. We really do appreciate all of you that have subscribed to our channel. We've got some exciting things coming up in the very near future. It's too early to disclose information about these exciting things, but we're really excited about what's coming up in the future. And this is going to be an interesting weekend for us, for me anyway. Meeting up with some fellow bushcraft campers at Open Pond in the Conecuh National Forest. I've been to Open Pond camping a couple of times in the campground, actually 3 times that I can remember. And I've also hiked and camped on the Conecuh Trail 2 different times. It's a great place, and looking forward to meeting up with some friends and doing a camp this weekend, fish a little, and take along what I need to deal with any willing fish. I'm going to let this bed of coals die down a little bit, pour a little water on it, and head back to the cabin. Thanks for watching.